What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio in the new DFS show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday on this time slot, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, where me, Weezy, Z, and Luke break down the upcoming card from a DFS perspective and give our predictions on the fights as well. Be sure to also leave a like on the video. It is always much appreciated. And also subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio so not miss out on all the other content throughout the week. If you have not yet, go check out Stat Diggers, where me and Uncle Weezy go live every Sunday night, going balls deep into the card. But here on the show, we're going to be doing something different. We aren't going to spend a couple hours going fight by fight. We're going to talk about the most important information and get all the meat off the bone. It should be around an hour and should be a ton of information. And do want to shout out the chat real quick. We have Clint. What is up, Clint? What's up, boys? Can wait for this as well. We have Philip in the chat. Grateful dude. We have Peter as well. What is up, guys? If you guys can all hit the like, that'd be much appreciated. And be sure to tune in every Tuesday. So do want to start with some introductions. You may know some of the guys on the panel. You may not. But we will start with Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, kind of introduce yourself and kind of initial thoughts on the card as well.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on the show, Brady. You can catch me on Twitter at MMA Weezy. I got a YouTube channel called Uncle Weezy where I do balls deep breakdowns of fights. I've been doing Draftkings DFS for years. Absolutely love doing it. Can't wait to chop up the card with you guys. Let's go. Let's get into this.
Sounds good. I see you, Palama. I see you, Bailey. What is up, everybody in the chat there? All right, we'll kick it on to Z. Z actually making his not his UFC debut, his Pub Sports Radio, debuts. What is up, Z? Kind of introduce yourself and initial thoughts on the card as well.
Yeah, Brady, that wasn't in the fine print, that UFC debut. So, no, man, I'm happy to be on. I do play DraftKings, not too well, so I'm hoping to get better being on this panel. And yeah, just real honored to be on amongst such intelligent and likable cast. And I see Bobby Dove in the chat asking what a violence bet is. A violence bet is just a bet on the under or on the doesn't go. This is one of the many terms and phrases I coined in this industry. So happy to give you the definition there, Bobby.
Yes, sir. Z's the man. I've been in the game for a long time. Very nice guy. Excited to have him on. And then last but not least, we have Luke, a very sharp guy. Not making his Pub Sports debut. I believe he's on the Die Hard podcast, but he is making his Tuesday debut. What is up, Luke? How are you doing? And are you looking forward to this card?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. A lot of fights that are either projected to go the distance or kind of right around that even mark. So definitely it's going to be interesting from a DraftKings perspective. But I guess quick intro, you guys can find me on Twitter at SWR_betting. Just a tad bit about me. I've been betting on the sport for roughly 5 years now or so, and kind of got into the DFS game about a year and a half ago too. So definitely looking to get better, improve, and then chop this up with you guys. So looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Yeah, I cannot wait for the show. 4 very sharp guys looking forward to it. What is up, Billy? Fire roster, I agree. We got Press in the chat, the dream team right here. Again, I agree. So I say we get started. We're going to go through. We're going to talk about our favorite fight to target, our favorite fight to fade, our fighter to fade, our favorite dog, our favorite GPP play, our favorite cash play, our favorite value play, and then also our favorite dart throw, and also give our quick picks at the end, and then also answer any question you guys have at the end as well. So let's get through it. Let's talk through some picks here. So we will start with your favorite fight to target. We will start with Luke. What is your favorite fight to target for UFC 265?
Yeah, this is definitely a tough one. I think there's definitely a couple or 2 or 3 that you could probably look at. But for me, it's actually Chiesa versus Luque. Definitely an interesting matchup for sure. I know the FDGT is only at Pick'em, but just based on both guys and kind of the style of the matchup, Chiesa, he pretty much has to shoot takedowns, has to wrestle. I know that Luque hasn't been finished before, but he's going to be aggressive in attacking stuff. But at the same time, the striking is definitely an interesting dynamic too, where Luque is clearly the better boxer, definitely has significant finishing upside of his own. So it's kind of one of those things where whoever's able to get off on their game, we have seen Chiesa subbed 3 times as well too. We've seen Luque have that really nice, front headlocks type series, Doris Anaconda type deals. So I think kind of there's multiple boxes checked for a potential finish here, and it should be a high action fight where both guys have scored pretty well. I think Luque scored over 100 points in all of his wins, with the exception of Perry, and Chiesa has never scored below 82 and 91 and 110 in 3-round decision-based fights. So both guys, high scores, should be a high action-based fight with finishing potential. So I'm going to have shares on both sides here.
I like it. I like it. Weezy, what is your favorite fight to target here?
So I'm going to be going with the Menifield short fuse fight, because that is the fight that is the most favored to not go to decision. And, when we're looking for fights to target in the DraftKings realm, fights score much higher when they finish inside the distance. And, my second choice would have been Chiesa Luque, because both those guys score so many points a minute while they're in the cage, independent of wins and losses. But for Herman and Menifield, those numbers aren't quite as high. But when you see a 40-year-old man getting in the cage who's got as many miles on the tires as Herman does, you got to feel like a guy like Menifield, who's so powerful, who's such a prolific finisher in his own right, that he's got a chance to finish this. And Menifield hasn't shown the best gas tank either. So if he doesn't get the veteran and short fuse out of there early, I could see him coming back and getting a late finish. And we've seen Ed Herman do it before. We've seen him nearly die in there a few times and then come out with the W. So I think it's a great fight to target. It is by far the most likely not to go to decision. And on top of that, for big guys, these guys do have some pretty decent volume, some pretty decent power, and you got some grappling upside in terms of Herman as well. So that's going to be my favorite fight to target. But I'm right there with Luke, too, in terms of Chiesa Luque being an excellent fight to target as well.
Yeah, I'm with on both of you guys. And then Z, what is your favorite fight to target this week?
I've actually got Song versus Kenney. I just think the way they match up, there's going to be a lot of strikes landed on both sides. On the Kenney side, he could also mix in takedowns, and it might not be a finish, but I just see so much happening in this fight, considering how they both like to engage at that range. But from a pick perspective and who I'll have more shares of, it's actually going to be Song Yadong, because I think he has a substantial speed advantage here, and Kenney just won't be able to get away from the shots. So I think Song is a sneaky good play, but Kenney could also win. So that's why I think that's my fight to target.
Yeah, probably like a sneaky fight to target as a whole, and I'm 100% with you. I think it can score pretty decent. My fight to target is going to be, I'm with Luke here. I really do like the Michael Chiesa going against Vicente Luque. This is actually the fight I'm going to have most exposure to, and this is like the fight I'm looking forward to from a fan perspective. Like you have Vicente Luque. If he wins this fight, it's going to be by a finish. I don't really see him winning a decision. Michael Chiesa, shout out to Uncle Weezy. He was talking about on his video where Michael Chiesa takes like 15 seconds each fight, where like the past couple fights to go in for a takedown is like 15 seconds, like 16 seconds, 20 seconds. So Michael Chiesa knows what he's good at and he knows what he's bad at. He wants to get the fight down to the mat early and often. If he does not, he probably gets knocked out. But I think there's a very good chance that he can kind of get multiple takedowns in this fight, a very good chance to get a ton of control time as well. I think it's all going to add up. On the flip side, Vicente Luque, he's lots of submissions on his record. Chiesa has been submitted in 3 out of his 4 losses. So if Luque wins, I see a finish. If Chiesa wins, I see a ton of takedowns, a ton of control time. Don't necessarily see a finish, but at 7,700, I do think that's going to add up quite a bit. So this is definitely my favorite fight to target, and I'm 100% with Luke there. Was there anything you guys wanted to add?
I'll just say I agree that Chiesa and Luque is a good fight to target. I'm actually leaning Luque. I see Preston in there asking if anyone has picked Luque outright, and I am definitely on that side. But I certainly understand that in Chiesa's win condition, it'll be tons of takedowns and tons of control time. So yeah, definitely a good fight to target as well.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, like it's going to be a good fight. I'm a big Vicente Luque fan. The guy's awesome. Can't wait for that fight. So next, we will get to the fight to fade. I'll kick this one off. My fight to fade is going to be none other than Jessica Penne going against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. How do you say it? Kowalkiewicz. I've had it all week and I finally can't get it. Karolina Kowalkiewicz. There it is. Okay, so basically, I do not see this fight scoring well. On Karolina Kowalkiewicz's side, she's not going to get takedown. She's not going to get control time. If she does win, it's probably a volume-based decision that doesn't score well. I can see her scoring like 70, 75 points, maybe 80 at the most. If anything, I'd be more interested, as ugly as it is, in Jessica Penne, but really I'm not interested in that much at all. But if she does win, it probably means she got a takedown. She was able to control a round or two. So if anything, for me, it's Penne, but this is a fight I'm going to be very, very under-owned to. I just don't really see it scoring well, and I think there's a lot better fights to target there. Z, what is your fight to fade?
I kind of disagree, man. Again, I'll defer to you as the expert here, but I think that that fight could have a sneaky high score if they're just pitter-pattering with high volume on both sides. But fair play to your point. The fight I want to fade is actually Drako versus Morales, because in this one I do feel like Draco's the side and he's probably going to win, but Morales coming off a bit of a layoff could have made improvements. It's just that when I looked at this matchup, I can definitely see both guys being very hesitant from the outside and looking for their perfect shot, trying to tee up, just big shots and not necessarily being extremely proactive. Of course, Drako was knocked out in his last fight out. It might make him hesitant to come in so recklessly. And Vince Morales is always the kind of guy who you just wish would throw more and would put himself in the fire a bit more. Of course, very tough, very durable to sustain the type of damage that he did last time out. But this is one where I can see it being pretty slow paced on the feet, at least.
Okay, sounds good. Next we have Luke. What is your fight to fade here?
Yep, I'm right with you too, Brady, on Penne Kowalkiewicz. Actually, there have been a couple Karolina fights that have went to the cards that she scored reasonably well in, but I think just based on the style matchup coupled with, I just think some inherent variance on the fight too. Karolina a bit older now too. Penne likes to go to the clinch. I think we could see some clinching based scenarios too, and I guess then you can extrapolate in terms of what you think for control time. But in general, it is the fight that's most likely to go the distance here. Both haven't been prolific finishers, probably a WMMA pitter-patter fight. If I was to target a more higher output striking-based affair, I guess I'd rather look towards like a Kenney Song fight, and that's probably a similar dynamic that I'd rather target. So this one is the one I'm gonna stay away from.
Yeah, I will say that the Penne fight is going to be extremely low owned. So if you want to get really different, maybe throw a lineup here or there in there. But for me, probably won't get there all that much. And then Weezy, what is your fight to fade?
So, number one on my list is going to be Johns Dos Santos. There's a few metrics I keep in my spreadsheets. One of them is how many points are scored in every fighter's fight on both sides. And right now on the list, I have it sorted from top to bottom, and Miles Johns is third from the bottom, and Dos Santos is fifth from the bottom. The average Johns fight score is about 102.28 points. The average Anderson Dos Santos fight score is about 105.17 points. While if you look at somebody that's a veteran like Luque, we're talking about 128 points per fight. Kowalkiewicz, 122 points per fight. Hill, 120 points per fight. And then when you go all the way down to the bottom of the list, you'll see Miles Johns, 102, Anderson Dos Santos, 105. Fiziev is down there around 102. So it's just that I also see the fight maybe taking place on the cage a lot too, because it seems like Dos Santos is going to want to get the thing to the ground. That's where he's best. He's best with his grappling. And this could be just Johns trying to stop takedowns and it being a very slow-paced fight. So I see this one going the distance probably, and I also see it kind of being mostly in the boxing realm because Johns being a former state champion wrestler is probably going to be able to stop the takedown attempts of Anderson Dos Santos, and Dos Santos hasn't been accurate on takedown attempts either. I see a lot of failed takedown attempts. I see a lot of time on the cage and not a lot of significant strikes landed. So that's the one I'm going to be fading.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think Miles Johns, it's a great matchup for him. I actually bet him last time they were supposed to fight. The price has now changed drastically, so we won't have a bet on him as of now. But I think it's a good matchup for him. But again, I just don't really see him scoring well. So I'm with you there. Any other thoughts or comments for you guys for this section here?
I'll just go and say I do agree with Weezy, but in this matchup, since Dos Santos is so hittable, I wouldn't put it past Miles Johns to actually get a finish, and that might score higher than you're thinking. But overall, I do agree.
Yeah. And I agree with you there, Z, because, the 28% striking defense, is that what Anderson Dos Santos is at? It's something like that. I mean, he blocks punches with his face, man. That's horrible. So, yeah, that's an excellent point.
Yeah, maybe Miles Johnson get the finish. But there was one other fight I wanted to point out. It's going to be Manel Kopp going against Ode Osborne. I think that fight has a really good chance of finishing. We take a look at their finish rates here, and Manel Kopp has a 93% finish rate, 60% by knockout, 33% by submission. I think he has like one decision win. And Ode Osborne has an 88% finish rate himself. He's very dangerous anywhere the fight goes. I think this fight has a good chance of finishing. And plus, on top of that, I don't think Ode Osborne's been out of the first round in like 7 or 8 fights. So I think there's a very good chance that there's an early finish. If Kopp does get into the second round, maybe he does get like a second round finish. And also Osborne's going to be his first fight cutting down to 125. He fought at 145 in his last fight against Jerome Rivera. I kind of looked through his record, even like in amateurs, like he's never fought at 125. So I do want to see the weigh-ins for that one. It could be very interesting to see, Ode Osborne on the scale.
And I think Kopp might be a sneaky play too, because he's perceived to be pretty low volume, but I wouldn't put it past him to get a finish in this spot either. I think there's a pretty big level gap. I do see people saying Osborne's the dog of the week, so it could also be a good contrarian play if a lot of people are picking Ode as a dog. But yeah, and when I went into looking at that fight, I was thinking, let's see if Ode is worth a play, but I came out of it thinking I think Kopp is just a level above.
Yeah, fair. Agree. I do think Osborne will be probably one of the highest dogs on the slate. All right, guys, you guys in the chat, if you all can hit the like button, let's get those likes up, and be sure to tune in every Tuesday. If you do like the show, really do appreciate those likes. I'm enjoying the show so far. Hopefully you guys are as well. A ton of great information, ton of great guys on the panel as well. And I think it's going pretty well. So now we'll get into the fighter to fade, and we will start with Uncle Weezy. Uncle Weezy, what is your fighter to fade this week?
Oh, God, I'm really piling on Miles Johns right here. And I think Miles Johns actually wins this fight. The two that I had listed, were either Johns or Aldo. They're both kind of low volume, but I'm going to go with Johns here because, like I had mentioned in the last segment, I see Dos Santos trying to get to the ground. His striking isn't good. His striking defense is terrible. And I could see it just being a slow-paced fight. And with Miles Johns being kind of expensive up there in the high 8,000s, I could see some of these guys that are a little bit priced higher than him coming out with a much higher score. So, yeah, the guy I'm going to fade right now is Miles Johns, even though I really do think he wins the fight.
Yeah, 100% agree there. My fighter to fight's actually going to be Rafael Fiziev. Kind of a hot take here. I feel like he's going to be somewhat popular. Everybody's on him this week. He's a big favorite. He's going to be in everybody's parlays for the most part. I think this is going to be a close fight. And, Rafael Fiziev, he's 9,300. He's going to get no takedowns. He's going to get basically no control time. And if he does not knock out Bobby Green in the first or second round, I really don't see him hitting the optimal lineup, especially when you have, Cyril Gane up there. You have somebody else we'll talk about, and Munhoz up there as well. So, factoring in the ownership as well, I don't really see myself having much Rafael Fiziev this week at 9,300. Bobby Green, he's only been knocked out once in the UFC. That was by Dustin Poirier. And he's been to decision like his last 7 or 8 fights. So if this does go to decision, I can see Fiziev not really scoring well, especially at 9,300 without a finish. So Fiziev is going to be somebody I'm looking to fade. And then Z, who is your fighter to fade this week?
I really like those points, first and foremost, Brady, because not only do I agree with the assessment of the fight, but I think Fiziev might be in a lot of people's lineups just based on the early line value. He opened at like -150 and got steamed, and there was a lot of hype on that as a betting opportunity. So I think maybe the masses will be going after him just as kind of a sure win. But good points made from you. For me, it's actually going to be Derrick Lewis. And I know Derrick Lewis is probably going to be a very, very popular punt because if he does win, we all know it's going to be a finish. It's just that in this fight, I do not see him winning. I don't think this is the time. I think Gane way too fast, way too evasive, too smart, too technical. I did fade Gane last time out versus Volkov. It was an entirely different stylistic matchup. I thought Volkov could present some challenges with the range and just the long range kickboxing and the technicality aspect of it, plus the extending the fight where we would get to see Gane's true gas tank. But here, I think he has his way with Lewis. So yeah, I actually just put a bet on Gane to win inside the distance. I think those body shots are going to be key to folding Derrick. And I think a lot of people with him on the ticket are not going to reap the rewards.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's a very good matchup for Gane. I do think he looks like a huge favorite here. But, man, Lewis, I mean, you can never count the guy out. I pick against him so much, and he always surprises me. I'll have some Lewis. I'm not going to completely fade him, but I definitely agree that Gane, very well should win this fight. And then, Luke, last but not least, who is your fighter to fade this week?
Yeah, I think in my opinion, it's a really obvious one. Melissa Gatto at 8.8K. And I'm not just saying that because she doesn't have a game log or anything, but she's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu who's solely reliant on a guard sub in the spot. She can't offensively wrestle. She can't defensively wrestle. She can't strike, barring she hasn't made massive improvements over the course of the last 3 years or so. So in my opinion, paying up for someone at 8.8K who's reliant on on a guard sub, I think is a solid fade, because you're just making a lot of assumption and paying up a pretty heavy price for that assumption.
That's fair. I mean, in my opinion, she's sub or bust, and she's sub or bust at 8,800. So I definitely get that right there. Any other comments or anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, I'll just add to Luke's point about Gatto. Like, yeah, from what we've seen, that seems to be the case. But you got to understand, she's been out for 3 years, and she's only 25 years old right now. So those formative years for a fighter, I think, I don't want to make an assumption and say she's going to be better, but I think it's reasonable to expect that a 25-year-old fighter with 3 years out of the game will have made improvements. So I would just hesitate on being so confident of any read in this fight, because I think Gatto is a huge question mark. And from what we've seen on, or what I've seen on Instagram, she's in tremendous shape. So I don't know. I think having a bit of her might not be a bad idea, but to count on her or against her, I don't know.
Well, I guess the last thing I'll say, it's the take is also more in relation to the price tag as well. There's other fighters around there that I would much rather pay up for, that I have a better feeling about who they are. Like I said, if she comes out here and makes improvements, becomes an average striker or even an average wrestler or defensive wrestler, then great. But I don't know that, and I'm not willing to pay 8.8 for it.
I promise you, she's going to look like the next Amanda Lemos.
Oh,
Come on.
whoa. Damn.
Just
She's
taking
gonna
the
need,
piss.
she's gonna need a haircut.
Clint from the Die Hard podcast, he posted a picture of Gatto, and my goodness, she is jacked city, to say the least. And Z's right. Gatto is going to have a 3-year layoff. Got to expect some improvements, right? So, I definitely get the fade, the price tag for sure. In my opinion, she is still sub or bust, but just something to think about there. So we'll go right back to you, Luke. Who is your favorite dog of the week?
Yeah, going back to the fight to target matchup, there's quite a few you could pick out, but I'm going with Chiesa at 7.7K, just because he, you kind of touched on it up off the top, Brady, that he's just a guy who understands what he's good at, understands his limitations, and he's going to go out there and look to maximize his win condition. And so even just when I'm betting a dog, I don't have a bet on Chiesa here, but just in general, even on DraftKings, when I'm looking, at these fighters below 8K, I want to have at least a decent degree of confidence of what they're going to do to, determine how heavy I'm going to roster them or not. And I kind of touched on it too, just in the fight to target breakdown, that even in a decision win, I think Chiesa scores well. I don't necessarily think he's reliant on a finish here to score well. And at 7.7, there's also just a lot of volatility, even in that bottom range as well. So yeah, I think he's a good, reliable dog who I think can put up a solid score in a W.
I like it. Z, who is your favorite dog for this card?
I concur with Luke. These moments are few and far between, but yeah, I think based on the win condition, you have to target Chiesa as a dog, because if he does win, it stands to reason he'll be close to optimal. So just totally echo everything Luke said. But I will say, from a betting perspective, money line and props and whatnot, I'm taking Luque, and I might have some money on him in that regard. So it's one of those times where I guess you can play both sides: Luque for the money line, and then Chiesa for the DraftKings points.
Yeah, just curious, would you bet the money line or the inside the distance? I saw the inside the distance is like something crazy, like plus 240 for Luque.
Yeah, that's in playable range for sure. I think leg kicks are going to be huge. I think he's by far the sharpest striker. I don't think anybody's going to disagree there. And as far as out wrestling him, I got to go a bit deeper into the tape. But I don't know, training at ATT, or is he at? He's in Florida, one of those camps.
Sanford, isn't he?
Yeah, Sanford. I mean, Chiesa might be getting off on that. I just don't think it's that likely. And the way the line is trending, I'm hoping to get a pretty good number on Luque.
Yeah, it looks like the line might flip potentially. Right. So as far as Uncle Weezy, who is your favorite dog of the week?
Let's make it 3 for 3 and go with Michael Chiesa again. Chiesa, I try to target fighters that grapple, because when you grapple offensively, especially, you get 5 points per takedown. You're getting 0.03 points for every second of control time. And when you accrue those takedowns and those control time positions, it just piles up throughout the fight. You don't have to land a lot of significant strikes. And we got a guy like Chiesa who's averaging a really good score for DraftKings, but he only lands about 1.5 significant strikes a minute. So, when you see that he can score 3.46 is his work rate. So according to my statistics, Chiesa is scoring 3.46 DraftKings points per minute, independent of wins and losses. So that's a good way to kind of figure out what these guys are going to score in a decision victory. If you take 3.5, multiply that by 15, you get 52.5, and then you add 30 points for a win, it's 82.5 points. You want to see those work rates up around 3.5. Chiesa has that. And in addition to that, he only gives up 1.62 points per fight or per minute. And that's because he's always in control time positions. And when you're being controlled by your opponent, it's very hard to accrue DraftKings points. So Chiesa is a good bet because he not only shuts out his opponent, but he can score about 3.5 points per minute just by clinging on and getting the occasional takedown and landing like 1 or 2 strikes per minute. So I like Chiesa here. I think this is going to be a very uncomfortable fight for Luque because he just really hasn't fought somebody that has the kind of commitment to the grappling that Chiesa brings every single time. But yeah, I'm with Luke and Z here. I'm on Chiesa as the, and plus he's almost a pick 'em here, and you're getting him for 7,700. So there's a lot of value there as well.
Good points. And, to be honest, Chiesa is my favorite play as well, but I saw all three of you guys did it, so I wanted to switch up a little bit. I'll go with my second favorite play. It's going to be Vince Morales. I'm not really high on Drake Rodriguez, not the best striking defense, not the best striking in general. I kind of have question marks about his chin as well. Like, he's been knocked down in both of his losses. And Vince Morales, prior to coming to the UFC, actually finished all his wins inside the distance, so he hits very, very hard. One thing I am worried about is the takedown defense on paper. It's like 55%, but shout out to Uncle Weezy. In the advanced stats, he brought up that he's been controlled for like 5% or 6% of his fights. So that means when he's getting taken down, he's getting right back up. So when it's on the feet, I favor Morales here quite a bit. I like him as far as a bet. And at 7,800, I think there's a very good chance that this is a knockout win for him. So I do like Vince Morales as a dog. My second favorite dog, my first is obviously Michael Chiesa with you guys. Any other thoughts or any other plays that stick out?
One real quick thing. I just want to throw another stat out there in regards to Chiesa. 66% of Michael Chiesa fights are spent in the grappling. And of that 66%, 74% of that is spent with Chiesa in control. Like, those are just crazy, crazy numbers.
Those are crazy numbers. All right, so
I just like to add just one more thing too, Brady. Is it's crazy to see the perception change of Chiesa, because I think just a little over a year ago he was like a plus 240 dog to RDA, and I thought the grappling path in that fight was much clearer for him versus RDA, who rarely defends takedowns, right? So now he's coming up against a dude who, in my opinion, is better at welterweight than RDA in current day MMA. So it's just kind of strange to see the difference in the line and the difference 1 year can make.
Yep. Yes, sir. So I do want to give a shout out to the GOAT, Tajik Bey. What is up? The GOAT with the dono. Appreciate Tajik. I saw you made a huge wager on Cyril Gane inside the distance. Best of luck to you. Hopefully you cash that bet. I know Z will be right there with you as well. So hopefully you do hit that, and hopefully Gane goes out there and gets a finish for you, because it's a pretty huge wager. So good luck to you. I'm doing a shout out the chat a little bit. Thank you all for hanging out. If you all can hit a like, we're almost to 100 live viewers, which is pretty good for the very first show. We have Nasty in the chat. We have Alexander, Palama. We have Bond. We have Aziz in the chat and in the panel. We have the Real Bunkuth. We have PayPal, Gaming Wolf. All you guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Really do appreciate all the support. And so next we will go to where are we at? We will go to the favorite GPP plays. So GPP, the tournament plays, the fighters you're going to want in your 150 maxes, your 20 maxes. You're looking for guys with high upsides, high ceiling, a fighter that you think can, pretty much win you a tournament. So we shall start with Z. Who is your favorite GPP tournament play?
Sure, I think it's Munhoz here, not Pedro Munhoz, the other one. Johnny Munhoz, that's the guy's name. I think there's a big level gap here. I think Simmons has a puncher's chance. He's not terrible, he is capable, but when I watch the fights, from my perspective, I think Johnny Munhoz is going to have a big grappling edge here. I think he wins at a comfortable rate, and in a win, I think he's going to get a ton of points with takedowns and a potential sub. So give me the first fight of the night, Johnny Munhoz to blow past Simmons.
Dude, I love it. Tajik Bey, once again, another dono. He says only 6.5K. Nothing really. It's normal. 6.5K. There you go.
Gold.
Yeah, kids, he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. All right. As far as Weezy, who is your favorite GPP tournament play this week?
First of all, is my mic loud enough, you guys? You guys all hearing me?
Can you turn up a little bit, probably?
Yeah, a little bit. Is that any better?
It's better.
Okay, cool. All right. So the GPP play for me is going to be Alonzo Menifield. Short fuse Herman, as big of a fan as I am of his, he's 40 years old. He should have lost his last fight against Rodriguez. That body shot was legal and Tyone missed it. Herman played the veteran move, did what he was supposed to do in there and extended the fight, got the win. But, I think this game is probably passing him by as big of a short fuse fan as I am. I'm going to go with Alonzo Menifield here. He's much younger. I think he's 7 years younger than Herman. A ton of power. He even showed a little bit of grappling chops in his last win against Fabio Charant, getting that win with the Von Flute choke. So I think this is a good spot for Menifield. It's the fight that's most likely to finish inside the distance. I think Alonzo Menifield is going to be a really nice, safe, high-salary GPP play for the tournaments this weekend.
I like it. Yeah, definitely tons of upside. We have another dono, and it is, you guessed it, Tajik Bey saying, we can hear you just fine. Shout out to the GOAT, Tajik. Okay, so Luke, what is your favorite GPP play this week?
Yeah, I wanted to be a little bit different because there's, I think, quite a few you could pick, but I'm actually going to go Manel Kopp as a contrarian play at 9K. His game log is horrible, given, the matchups he's had in his last two, fighting two top 15 flyweights in his debut. So I think there's just going to be some people who aren't familiar with Kopp, I guess from a more general casual DFS perspective. Because of that, I think he's going to be incredibly, incredibly low owned. I'm going to be extremely overweight to him here because I think he has a significant knockout upside. He's actually finished 5 of his last 6 via KO, which you don't see very often at the division in general, let alone just in general strength of comp that Kopp's been fighting as well too. I think he's the better boxer here, and I think there's just significant questions on Ode Osborne out of the first round. So with that, once again, there's definitely a couple ways you could go in terms of your favorite GPP play, but it's more of a contrarian leverage-based play that I really like this week.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned he's going to be low owned. Osborne, probably one of the highest owned dogs on the slate. So yeah, if he wins, you're going to be different. And I think he has a ton of upside myself. For me, I'm personally going with Uncle Weezy here. I do like Alonzo Menifield myself. He does have 10 wins, 9 of them coming in the first round. He did have 1 in the second round. It was early second round. So if he does win, it's safe to say that it is probably in that first round. If it gets out of the first round, that's where I do have some serious concern. He does slow down quite a bit, but I think he has really good takedown defense. I think he's going to be able to stop the early takedowns of Ed Herman, and I think he's going to have a ton of opportunities, at least early, to find that knockout. And if he does, first round knockout, I do think it'll be score really, really high as well. But yeah, I wouldn't, play it in cash personally, because there's a very good chance if he gets out of the first round, he's going to slow down. And at that point, we probably could see Ed Herman get like a second or third round finish there. But yeah, I like Menifield as far as the upside goes. Any other things sticking out for you guys? Nope. All right, then we shall move on. All right, so we'll get into the cash play. Favorite cash play for cash. We're kind of looking at someone with a nice floor, someone who's very, very safe, someone you feel comfortable putting in your cash lineup. And I'll start. For me, I really like Johnny Munhoz Jr. this week. This guy is an absolute beast. He's a finisher. I believe he has like an 80% finish rate, a black belt in BJJ. Like Z said, I think there's a huge skill discrepancy between the two. You take a look at Jamie Simmons. What does he want to do in most of his fights? Go out there and get takedowns. Where does Munhoz want the fight? He wants it on the mat. Jamie Simmons, solid grappler, good wrestler, but he has a blue belt in BJJ. I think the levels on the mat is just going to be, crazy. And I think Munhoz has a very good chance to either get a sub, a TKO victory, and I actually kind of liked, Munhoz in his debut. I thought he made a really good account for himself. I liked how he attempted 14 takedowns, and now he's coming back to his actual weight class in this fight. So I do think he'll be, very prepared. I believe he came in on short notice against Manel. So looking forward to seeing him back in here. Jamie Simmons is somebody they brought in against Giga Chikadze to get Chikadze his first knockout finish in the UFC. I don't think he's UFC caliber. I think he's good at wrestling, but that's kind of playing into Munhoz's game, and I think Munhoz is better, pretty much everywhere. So give me Munhoz. I like him a lot in cash. I'll have a ton of him in cash. I have a ton of him in tournaments as well, and he is my favorite play on the entire card. All right, Uncle Weezy, who is your favorite cash play of the week?
I'm right there with you, man. I think this Munhoz is going to shave Simmons' ass. I think it's going to be that's my ass shaving of the week, man. That one's going to be one-sided, just pillar to post, complete dominance. Nothing that Simmons does is going to be something that's going to make Munhoz uncomfortable. I mean, this guy is so good on the ground, and Simmons' number one skill is wrestling. So, I mean, unless he can try to stop takedowns and keep it on the feet like Manis tried to for 15 minutes, and I don't really see that happening here. I see this fight getting to the ground. I see it being a complete ass shaving, and I'm going to have Munhoz in pretty much all my lineups.
Sounds good, Weezy. Ass shaving it is. Z, what is your favorite cash play of the week?
Am I allowed to pick Cyril Gane?
You are?
Is that allowed?
You can.
Like I said earlier, like fading Lewis, I just don't think this is the time, folks. I think Gane lights him up, wins either a very comfortable decision or finishes him down the stretch. Might not be optimal, but I do think that he's just a very, very safe play here. I mean, we've seen Lewis come back from the brink many, many times. So, of course, he's always live. It's just that Ciryl plays such a safe game on the feet and is so fast for 5 rounds and targets the body. I am just very confident in him in this matchup. So I'm going to use him for cash, and hopefully he gets it done and also cashes that inside the distance prop for me and the GOAT.
There you go. Luke, what are you looking for your favorite cash play this week?
Yeah, I'm also going to recommend Gane as well. Traditionally, like you said, we're talking about safety and whatnot. Obviously, Lewis is very dangerous, but I do think something that needs to be noted in terms of just general heavyweights, in terms of like the guys that are fighting Lewis, like Gane moves like a middleweight. He's in and out. And to Z's point, he largely just fights a really composed, safe style. And I think even bringing some credence to this matchup and the past matchup with Volkov, I mean, a lot of people thought that Volkov was going to be the guy to do it and knock him out. And honestly, he kind of just stood in front of Volkov for the large majority of the fight and was fine. Granted, he ate a decent amount of shots, but his chin was completely fine there. I think he has a potential wrestling path should he decide to take it. Lewis hasn't exactly looked great on bottom. Maybe a sneaky sub potential in there, but I'm more so the opinion that he fights safer, but still finds a finish at some point down the way. And that's why I kind of like him actually more so in cash than GPPs, because his last 2 that have went a full 5, I don't think he's even scored 100 points. And so at 9.4, I don't necessarily know if I'd be willing to load up on that. Just in the event that that's the case for GPP is definitely going to have some of them, but for cash, I still think the win condition of Lewis is always what it is. Hail Mary, still, I don't think he can put it much higher than 25%. So Gane still wins at a high clip. I like him for cash.
Yep, fair, good points there. Anything else you guys want to point out?
Yeah, Tajik Bey just asked in the chat, how many times Lewis has lost by decision, and the answer to that is in the UFC 0. Yep. Which is probably why he's on that, Gane inside the distance bet, and why you guys think that Gane is a great play, because Derrick Lewis, when he does lose in the UFC, it comes before the bell, and this is a 5-round fight. So, if you are on the Gane side and you really do think he wins this fight, then it's a pretty damn good chance he's going to win inside the distance. So, yeah.
Yeah, what is the Gane inside the distance line?
I don't know. You guys have it?
I'm not sure. You said minus 105?
Plus 105.
Oh, it's plus money. Okay, goodness.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I love turning big favorites into plus money inside the distance props,
Yeah, and especially considering Lewis has never lost by decision. Okay, that's sticking out. Okay. We have 116 in here, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out for the new show. We will be going live with this panel every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. If you guys can hit the like button, let's get those likes up. It is much, much appreciated. We're now going to get into our value plays, and we will start with Z. Who is your value play of the week?
All right. I've cashed a few bets on Ed Herman in recent times. He's very rickety, but he is going to be my value play of the week, because if Alonzo doesn't murk him in the first round, which is very likely, so it's just like a value play, right? But if he doesn't, I mean, Ed Herman has all the wily veteran tactics to drag this fight into deep waters, get Alonzo tired, potentially sub him. Definitely not confident on this prediction or anything, but I do think it's the best just from a pure value perspective in DraftKings. And I do think it might be contrarian, because a lot of people will be, like Uncle Weezy said, will be going after that Alonzo quick KO, which again is the most likely outcome. So it's reasonable, but I'm going to take a punt on Ed Herman.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Uncle Weezy, what is your value play of the week?
It is Victoria Leonardo for me. A lot of the points that Luke brought up earlier when talking about Melissa Gatto are very valid here. And the number one thing is that Melissa Gatto has terrible takedown defense from what we've seen in the tape. So, when I look for somebody in the, that's less than 8,100, that's going to bring me some value, I'm looking for somebody that's got almost a 50-50 chance to win the fight and is going to use a lot of grappling. And, just trying for the grappling is not good enough. You have to get it. So if you're going to shoot for takedowns, you want to be shooting for them against somebody like Gatto, who just cannot stop them. So I could see Leonardo getting several takedowns in this fight and accruing a ton of control time. And as long as she doesn't get caught in the sub, that she could be a really good value. And I think she's down there at about 7,400, is it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's a really good price, and somebody with a lot of grappling upside and her opponent does not have good takedown defense. So I think that's a really good, safe value play. But I loved hearing Ed Herman, man. I just love hearing the words Ed Herman come out of Z's mouth there, because I'm such a fan of his, and he made excellent points, dude. If Herman gets out of the first intact, he's going to be very dangerous. So I love both of those picks for value plays this week.
And he is a little, he's perceived to be fragile. We've seen him knocked out a few times now in his career. And of course he should have been knocked out last time out versus Mike Rodriguez. But over the course of his career, he has been pretty durable. So, he's the type of dude who can take, some bombs in the early rounds and then drag it into deep waters. So
his last two have been to the body or with kicks too, Z.
What's that, sorry?
His last two, the Rodriguez was a body shot, and then the last one he got head kicked. So it's not like he's even getting dropped with punches necessarily too.
Right.
Fair points. All right.
Your chat's awesome, by the way, Brady. This is very entertaining reading this.
Chat's killing it. Thank you guys so much in the chat. You guys are killing it. Thanks for hanging out and supporting as always. Okay. So my value play, it's chalky. I do think he will be one of the highest owned on the slate in terms of underdogs, but for a good reason. This guy is a finisher. He has not seen the second round in 7 or 8 fights. Manel Kopp has been dropping the ball, but he's been dropping the ball against Mateus Nicolau. He's been dropping the ball against Alexander Pantoja. I think this is a significant step down in competition for Kopp, and I think this is you can't get a bigger step up in competition going from Jerome Rivera to Manel Kopp here. So my pick is definitely Kopp. I think he wins, but man, you can't deny how dangerous Osborne is on the feet, on the mat. I have seen him get taken down in pretty much all of his fights, but this guy is very slick off his back. Triangles, arm bars, you name it. So yeah, he's very live for a finish here. I think this fight's going to be a war. I think this fight's going to be one to target, and I see this fight finishing honestly within the first couple rounds. So at 7,200, if he does win, I do think there's a very good chance that it's inside the distance. I'm personally going Kopp, but with that value, you got to take a couple shots for sure. And then we have, who's next? Luke?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm with Weezy here. Victoria Leonardo, 7.4K. First and foremost, just from a salary perspective, this line's about to flip, and Leonardo's going to actually become a favorite. So to get a favorite at 7.4 right off the top, I think needs to be said as a salary saver. And then 2, I kind of touched on it in my fighter to fade with Gatto, but I think Leonardo has takedown upside in this fight. She often looks to pass, has a ground and pound finish potential. And even despite the whole, guard sub thing on Gatto kind of being her primary win condition, Leonardo's actually never been guard subbed, and actually both girls are just purple belts on paper. So it's not like Gatto's this high level black belt, where she should have just this gigantic edge on the ground. And then perceivably, Leonardo actually has the advantage standing here too. So at 7.4, I'm going to be very, very overweight to Victoria Leonardo here.
Yeah, phenomenal points. If she wins, it's probably, she's getting takedown. She's getting control time. You take a look at Gatto and all of her fights, she's getting taken down easily, and she's getting her ass beat up until she finds the sub. So if that sub does not come, I can definitely see Leonardo, scoring pretty well. Anything else you guys wanted to add?
I just want to reiterate that with Gatto, it's such a big question mark because of the time she's been off at this point in time in her life. So again, I agree from what I've seen on tape too, but just be careful with that one, man.
No, you're right. 3 years is a long time. And like I said, I saw her Instagram post, and she's looking jacked, to say the least. So we will get now into our dart throw of the week. And we'll start with Luke. What's your dart throw?
Yeah, I'm going with Ed Herman at 7K for a lot of the reasons that Z mentioned with his value play too. There's still really no evidence that Alonzo Menifield can win a decision. So if he doesn't get Herman out of here in the first round, Herman is more proven over the course of 15 minutes. He is a tough guy, despite, him being perceivably fragile. He is the better grappler on paper. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And just a tough guy who's going to try to at least hang in there as best as he can. And the last couple times we've seen Alonzo Menifield fights extended, it was against OSP, where he just didn't really do anything and got knocked out. And then against Devin Clark, where it was largely a clinch battle, and he actually got outstruck in the clinch, like almost 2x on strikes there, which also happens to be probably one of Ed Herman's best parts of his game too. So I think he is a solid punt at 7K if he can survive, because if he does get out of this first round, I think the fight probably looks more so like 50-50, if not Ed Herman being favored. So
yeah. Z, you want to add something?
No.
Okay, my bad. Weezy, what is your dart throw?
So this is going to be a low-owned dart throw. I'm going with Melissa Gatto, just because I see this being a grappling battle. And Melissa Gatto is just way overpriced in this situation. Luke just got done talking about how cheap Leonardo is. So that then by elimination, we know that if she's cheap, then Gatto's way overpriced, right? But this is going to be a grappling battle. This one kind of has armbar from guard written all over it. And let's remember that in Victoria Leonardo's 3 pro losses, she's been finished inside the distance all 3 times. So if Gatto does catch that armbar from guard and does it in the first or second, she could score 80, 90 points, easily return value, and from a salary position where she's going to be very low owned. So what I mean by low owned dart throw is I would classify her as that is, let's say she's 10% owned in 150 max. Maybe I go 13, 14% owned. I just want to be a little bit over owned on the Gatto Leonardo fight as a whole, because I think a lot of grappling takes place there. It's a low level fight, so it's probably very likely to finish inside the distance. And, whoever does, I think is going to probably be optimal. So that's what I'm going with Melissa Gatto.
Well, Weezy, I'm with you. My dart throw is also Melissa Gatto. Z's been talking about it, the 3 years of potential improvement. She looks phenomenal on Instagram. I completely 100% think she is submission or bust. But like Weezy mentioned, this has armbar written all over it. I think there's a very good chance she could get a submission. But like I said, 8,800, she's sub or bust. I think she'll be very, very owned, like Weezy said. But if she does pull off that armbar from guard, nobody's going to have her. She's a pick'em at 8,800. Nobody probably knows who she is. So yeah, I'm going to have some Gatto. I'm going to be with you, Weezy. I'm going to be a little bit over the field with her as well. I think she has, early sub upside. Like you see it in a lot of her fights. She's getting her ass beat. She's, stuck on bottom, horrible takedown defense. And then she finds that submission. So I think that's in play. And it's going to be very low owned. So I will take a little bit of a dart throw there. And then finally we have Z. Who is your dart throw?
I'm kind of inverted from Luke in the sense that he took Herman as the dart throw. I've got Leonardo as the dart throw. And I guess she might be more owned than I'm thinking. But if Gatto shows up here and hasn't made improvements, then yeah, it's going to be a rough night for her with tons of takedowns for Leonardo. And yeah, but again, it's a dart throw for me because it's just so tough for me as a gambler to count on someone showing up who we haven't seen in such a long time. So again, kind of a shot in the dark. That's why I called it my dart. But I'll go with Leandro for that one.
I like it. Anything else you guys wanted to add?
Yeah, and something I brought up during Stat Diggers, Victoria Leonardo has had 11 professional fights since the last time Melissa Gatto fought. So right. It's a great fight to target as a whole. I mean, you got a girl coming off a 3-year layoff against somebody who's actually had 11 fights since the last time that Gatto fought. So, and a lot of grappling. Really good chance that this finishes inside the distance. I think it's a great fight to target as a whole.
Yeah, kind of sneaky fight as well. So I do like that. All right, so next we will get into our quick picks. Before we do so, if you guys can leave a like, let's get those likes up. 125 of you in here for the debut of the show. It's going pretty well. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. So we shall start with Weezy. Why don't you give us your quick picks for the card?
And this is just who I think is going to win every fight?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so I've got it listed here. I got Gane. I got Munhoz beating Aldo. I got Chiesa. I've got Kenney, but that I just don't that's 50-50 for me. That's flip a coin. I'm going with Angela Hill, Fiziev, Menifield, Kowalkiewicz, Kopp, Leonardo, Morales, Munhoz is my ass shaving of the night, and then we got Miles Johns.
All right, I like it. Z, who are your quick picks for the card?
Quick picks starting at the top.
Yes, sir.
We'll go Cyril Gane inside the distance. I've got José Aldo in a fight we didn't even talk about. We didn't even touch on that banger of a fight. That's awesome. I am going to go with Aldo there, though. I'll go with Vicente Luque. This is a really tough one between Torres and Hill. I will edge slightly with Hill, but it's got split written all over it. I got Song Yadong. I got Rafael Fiziev. I got Drako Rodriguez, Alonzo Menifield, Karolina Kowalkiewicz, Manel Cap, Miles Johns. I'll go with Melissa Gatto and Johnny Munhoz all day. Johnny Munhoz.
Yep, hopefully Johnny gets it done. We do have a dono. What is up, Ursel? Hopefully I pronounced that right. Appreciate the dono, and thank you so much for hanging out. And then, Luke, what are your quick picks for the card?
Yeah, I'm going Gane. There's probably 3 or 4 of these where I think you could really go either way, to be honest, that I don't even have a great read on. But going Gane, Munhoz, Luque, Hill, Kenney, Fiziev, even though I think that fight could potentially play closer, Drako Rodriguez. I'm actually going Ed Herman as a dog here. Karolina, Kopp, going Dos Santos actually as a dog, Leonardo as a dog, and then Johnny Munhoz.
There you go. Okay, I'm going to give my quick picks. You guys in the chat, start asking questions. We're going to take the last 5 minutes to answer any question you guys have. So put some questions in the chat, and we'll get to those. For my quick picks, I will be going with Gane, Munhoz, Chiesa, Torres, Casey Kenney, Fiziev, Morales, Menifield, Karolina, Kopp, Miles Johns, Victoria Leonardo, and Johnny Munhoz Jr. So let's get to some questions here. If you guys can type them in the chat. Let's see what we got here. Come on, guys, get those questions in there. But yeah, let's see what we got. Okay, here we go. What's up, Doughboy? How long have all of you guys been playing DraftKings for? I'll start. I've been playing since I turned 18 years old. So like 5-6 years since then. So I've been playing for a while. Weezy, how long have you been playing?
Dude, it's been a while. I think it was probably right about the time DraftKings actually started doing DFS for MMA. But I think that you could tell how long I've been doing it when I remember one time, and I'm not joking, paying $10,100 for Paige Van Zandt.
Ooh.
$10,100 for Paige Van Zandt. That's how fucking long I've been playing this shit. So yeah, dude, it's really probably since it started, man. So I've been at this for a while.
There you go. Oh, Z, how long have you been playing?
Yeah, I've been playing pretty much since its inception as well, but it was always just kind of a casual thing for me where I'd make like one lineup and enter it in a bunch of different contests. So basically just if my lineup did okay, I'd hit the 50-50. If it was optimal, of course, I'd win optimal. But realizing now that's not the way to do it. You want to definitely target different things for different types of tournaments. And again, that's what I'm here for. I'm looking to get better as a DraftKings player, take it more seriously. But I will say that back in the day, I almost won tickets to see Conor versus Mendes VIP. I won that card. The card before it was Condit versus Thiago Alves, and then I just didn't get the tiebreaker, the next event. So that was my brutal story. And as far as someone else asked how long I've been watching UFC, I started in like UFC 81 was the first event I watched live.
There you go. How about you, Luke? When did you start playing DraftKings?
I would say seriously about a year and a half ago, kind of similar to Z. I was a bit more casual before that, where I'd just kind of sprinkle in a few things here and there. But like I said, I've been betting on the sport since 2016. And I'm like, well, I'm already going balls deep researching these fights every week. Why not, look to throw a few extra shillings in my pocket? So yeah, I've been taking it pretty seriously for like the last year and a half now.
There you go. I'll kick this one to Z. Z, what do you think of Gone by Sub?
I think it's live for sure. If you have the number in front of you,
I think it's like plus 1,000.
Plus 1,000, yeah. I mean, it's live for that. You can take a shot for that. Again, I just took inside the distance to cover the body shot TKO, which is what I'm predicting. And I'm honestly, guys, I'm seeing that pretty clearly. Like Gane's got a nasty front kick, nasty teep, nasty body kicks. You hear the sound when he landed on who's that guy he fought? Don'Tale Mays. he landed one that sounded like a baseball bat. I mean, if Lewis is eating those kicks from range and not able to get off on his punches, I see a TKO here pretty clearly. But to your point, it's a wide number, and I wouldn't put it past Gane to, get a single leg and submit him. But then again, to be honest, I think the easier path is by knockout. I think why grapple with Lewis, who is, can get up at any time. And PayPal saying I just jinxed Gane. Oh yeah, we'll have to give up on him after round 1. That's how we get the reverse jinx back in our favor.
Uncle Weezy, chicken wings or pizza for the pay-per-view?
It's going to be pizza, man. It's going to be pizza every single time. I just love pizza. I can't get enough of it, man. Chicken wings are pretty damn good too, but it's going to be pizza and beer for me.
I like it. This is probably a good question for Luke. Why are you guys so confident in Cop? He has shown a problem fighting barefoot. And Osborne definitely has some firepower. Is it relative to the level of competition?
Well, yeah, that's the big thing for me. It's a pretty gigantic step up because even pre-UFC for Cop, he's fighting over in Rise and he's fighting over in stadiums in front of 30, 40,000 people against top-level flyweights. Like I said, I don't hate Ode Osborne by any means. I think he's a decent prospect, but, early first-round guy, coming in fighting a big step up, more proven, more battle tested, perceivably a few more tools. That's why I like Cop.
I like it. Z, probably good one for you. Do you think you should go Gane by finish, which is, like you said, plus 105, or I think the fight doesn't go to decision is around like minus 200?
Yeah, you could opt for that just to feel a little bit better, but yeah, that's personal preference. If you want to include fight doesn't go, just to include the chance Lewis does bomb him out, yeah, that's fair. But from my perspective, the difference there going from an even money play to a minus 200, when I'm so heavily leaning towards the Gane side in this one, it just wasn't worth it for me. And I want to just say too about Manel Cop, man, welcome to the UFC. Eh? Some of these guys get no breaks. You watch that fight versus Pantoja, and Pantoja's like a serious professional fighter, like no joke at all. So yeah, the strength of schedule between Cop and Ode, I think, is night and day.
I like it. So we'll kind of close up here. We'll kick it around. Uncle Weezy, let them know what you got going on throughout the week and where they can find you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Tuesday night, you guys. Really appreciate this being on the inaugural Draftkings show here on Pub Sports. You can find me at my YouTube channel, Uncle Weezy. I do balls deep breakdowns of usually 3 to 4 fights every single week. You can find the information, the matchup templates in the videos that I provide. I provide all my stats out there that you see on Stat Diggers. You can get them in the descriptions to my videos. You can also find me on Twitter at MMA Weezy. If you got any questions, just shout me out, DM me. I'd love to talk fights with any of you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Sounds good, Weezy. Thanks for coming on. You just started the game late in your career, but you're really kicking ass, man. So hopefully you keep going and you're really building. I like it. So Z, what is up, Z? Let them know where they can find you and what you got going on throughout the week.
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel, Z's MMA. I'm also on Twitter at Z's MMA. Feel very honored to be on here once again. Thanks for inviting me on to share my opinion and perspective. And if you guys are interested in my opinions and perspectives, yeah, just follow me on those places. Z's MMA, Twitter, YouTube, also zmma.ca if you want to see what I got going on.
Yep. Shout out to Z. Thanks for coming on, Z. One of the nicest guys in the MMA community. And then last but not least, Luke, let them know where they can find you and what you got going on throughout the week.
Yeah, first and foremost, this was a super fun show, guys. I'm looking forward to doing this on a weekly basis, especially since it's on Tuesdays too. It definitely is going to keep me in line to grind through these cards, make sure I'm through them by Tuesday for sure. But yeah, it's been fun. You guys can find me on Twitter at SWR_betting. I do run a Patreon as well where I post all my bets, full card breakdowns, prop article, parlay article, weekly video as well. If you guys are looking for another opinion in the space, Club and Sub podcast, myself and a round table of other gamblers every Wednesday night at 10 Eastern on YouTube as well. If you're looking to add another podcast, MMA related, betting related to your weekly Rolodex of listening.
Yep. Shout out to Luke, very sharp guy. And the Club and Sub is filled with sharp guys. So go check that out. I believe it's tomorrow night. As for me, you can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. Instagram is DFS by the numbers. You can follow me on YouTube, DFS by the numbers. I did post my full card breakdown and prediction video today or yesterday, and then also my DraftKings video today as well. I will be going live Friday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time after the weigh-ins. Yeah, guys, leave a like. Really do appreciate the likes. Let's get those likes up. If you can also subscribe to Pub Sports Radio so you don't miss out on other content throughout the week. Again, if you have not seen Stat Diggers with me and Uncle Weezy, go check that out. We went balls deep into all the fights. And for Weezy, for Z, and for Luke and me, thank you for hanging out. And we will see you guys next Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you all for hanging out. See you guys.